Hello everybody, this is the market review on June 15th. So let's kick off with oil. If you watched the last week market review, we were very bullish on this. We said that this was our first target and the 70 area was our second target. Well, it's it's behaved really well and exceeded our expectations considerably. So what do we do now? Well, first of all, I'm going to remove all of these drawings, which I think are no longer relevant. Just notice how clean these levels are. I mean, this SR level was not marked randomly. And look where price reacted from after the breakout. You know, the high time frame context with oil, which is important to me, is just, it's been a downtrend for the best part of 2 to 3 years. And me, I'm a technical and pattern trader. I look at price action mainly to get my context from there. We have this big ass trend line, which price has always reacted from. And it's always been resistance, right? I mean, you could use the argument that it's been acting as support here and maybe here a bit, right? But it's always been, you know, deviation. The main reason why we were betting on 70 this week, last week for oil, was because this movement, which led oil to this trade from 70 to 60, was so inefficient. It was just 2 to 3 days of constant selling, and price tends to get filled when it's so inefficient. It happens on all markets. It happens on crypto, FX, commodities, whatever. And we also had a bullish close on that Friday, which was this candle. This candle right here was really bullish. So we were betting that any close, any trading at the start of week below the weekly open would be the week, the low week of the candle, of the weekly candle. Now price has rallied really far, and it's in a really interesting spot, oil, right now, because you know, last 4 times we've traded above this trend line, which I could draw like this, and it would become so apparent that this area right here is resistance until proven otherwise. And it's exactly where price has rejected from, right, on Friday. It's in a interesting area because a lot of people, you could tell, has jumped into longs up here, and a lot of people must be screaming breakout. But just as fast as it goes up, it can come down. And this is just an area to pay attention, because you either get some form of distribution and prices dumps, and maybe you see 50. I don't know. I really don't know. I couldn't give a fuck about that. Or you see price finally maybe range a bit this week and eventually start trading higher. And 80 is a really easy target. But this being a trend line that starts in 2022, now 2025, 3 years forward, I think you could mark this as a target, because this is not a normal trend line break. If it were to happen, of course, but you could see this. Why not, right? It's not in one go, but it could happen a lot faster than a lot of people are expecting. Whether it's due to news or not, that's irrelevant to me, because I just straight price action. I was bullish before I ran fucking use bombs on Israel. It was on the chart, mate. It was on the chart. It was all you needed. And well, so thing right now is I don't really entertain shorts around this level. Um, this being like the fourth time it is attempting to break the trend line. The trend line being a resistance becomes much less probable, and the probabilities of a breakout increase the more times it attempts, right? So I don't know what next week will offer, but I do like the idea that a breakout could be in play. I'm not the biggest guy of seeing just price trade higher, and yeah, this is my trigger, and just jump on it. I much rather bet on, if it offers a significant pullback. I think this area will act as a SAR. Let's jump into the 4-hour and see it more clearly, right? Right, you see this region here is a SAR. Price has already told you that, and it was already here, right? So this is a significant area, but this one also, right? So I don't think next week we will see price trade here. I do think that something like this is much more likely to happen, or even if you get a deep pullback even into the mid of this and you know um, actually this is my main scenario for oil. I remain bullish but cautious at the same time. We still have to wait until it opens on Monday to see where we're trading at, if there's a huge gap or whatever. But this level here, 66.67, is really pivotal to me, and you wouldn't want to see oil trade below there if we are to trend higher into the 80, 90, and possibly the 100 even. Yeah, dude. Because even, this is a SAR and I'm active from this drop here, right? But if you look to the left, you see it's been a significant level as well. And, price breaking below it is led to oil trading into the mid 50s. So, if some aggressive price action was to happen next week, this is the biggest discount area you're gonna get. This 67 to 66 area. It's a gift. for longs. And you know, if it was to come here, right, you could play this bounce, and it would be a huge trade, right? I just don't like to get too excited with the breakout unless it's already happened. So that's why I would maybe close it here. And you know, the reason why I don't like to think of triggers as, you know, yeah, it trades like up here and boom, then you enter here, right? I don't like that. It doesn't offer. I'm not good at trading that. Let's be honest. I much rather like to see price trade higher like this, then offer a pullback. And let's say we could maybe consider this is the bottom and this is our validation, right? Because you know, my whole idea is that, as I've already said, that these downward channels acting as resistance don't last forever. So we've already had like 4 or 5 attempts, and you cannot assume that it's going to hold forever. So eventually you get a breakout, and if we get a breakout and we get a retest, this being like the sixth attempt at this channel, you are not that crazy for thinking that this time it's going to act as support. There's going to be an SR flip instead of this being another deviation and we trade lower, right? And you know, probably a lot of people, I assume, might think this. You know, if the wick starts like this and it acts as resistance and we trade into this area, a lot of people might think that the top is in, right? But this is just the best value area that we could get for longs. So we'll see. We'll see. So I have 2 triggers. If the market is really bullish, I pull back to here. Could be the play, and you enter long. But I really like this idea because I think this is the best value you're gonna get, and this is a really pivotal level. We might not even reach there because we've already had the SR flip here, and we had an attempt, and it's gone up, right? But this movement being so damn inefficient, it has room to be filled, right? So, you know, this to me is a good trade. Because I think the context is really bullish for oil at this point, and I don't think you see it trade 65 next week or 64. So this is something I do. But you have to be really, really careful with trading oil because it does pullbacks like crazy, and you know, with all this volatility that's been going on last week, one can only imagine that you know things could even get even crazier, right? But yeah, this is the high time frame view. We've had, look at this. This is significant. Like I don't know. Just something like this would be beautiful, but who knows if we're gonna get it, right? Um, yeah. So yeah, these are my triggers. You either buy a pullback into this level, or you get one here into this level, or you get a breakout, assume it's not a deviation this time, and then you buy the pullback. Right? Let's jump into gold, because it rallied massively last week, and we were bullish on it. These two trades are the ones we nailed last week in terms of analysis. Let's see. Yeah, it's been in up only mode. Typical gold behavior lately. But yeah, you probably assume that it's gonna continue higher, especially because the dollar has been really weak, and we have all this volatility caused by the Iran-Israel thing, which has also spiked U.S. oil, crude. And it's also due to positioning. A lot of people were short, and probably they're being squeezed really hard. And there's been an unwind positioning, right? But at the same time, gold is really extended. It's $50 away from all-time highs. And of course, there's not a great risk to reward longing up here. At the same time, you don't want to short something just because it's going up, right? That's counterintuitive behavior. So I'm gonna remove some of these levels, right? Just so that it's clearer. I just think that gold wants to attempt all-time highs next week. I don't know if it breaks it. And I don't know whether it's gonna be a trending week, expansion week for gold. We might be due for some rangy week on gold. I'm not too sure about that. But just looking at this area here looks so good to buy. That's the only thing I can say right now about this chart. I don't want to short here. I do think, gone to my head that this start of the week, we could see gold do something like this and trade lower into this level, and you'd want to be a buyer here. And what price does from here, I really don't know. I think it trades back into the origin of the movement. Whether it breaks all-time highs or not, I really don't know, man. I just think that like oil, this is an area where there's a really good really good value area for longs. So if we were to get a a down move into this level, you play that with longs. You know, you want to see this level hold, or um, this level, and I'm pretty sure that once price trades here, we could find a good invalidation so that we can call this a 2.5 hour trade, which is pretty good if you're just stacking those and you're pretty sure in the direction of the instrument. Because I did treat this trend line breakout here as, you know, a breakout, so price should trade higher and attempt all-time highs. That's why I remain bullish, and this is an area where I like to buy. We are above the monthly open. We could still be due for some expansion higher. But yeah, we cannot deny the fact that gold has been in a range since mid-April. So it is a range until proven otherwise. But it's broken out from this trend line. So I do not want to play shorts right now. This is the only thing that I see happening for me next week. You know, if I was too long here, I would take some off here and just leave something open in case we break above and we start trending higher, right? Like a moon bag, as they say in crypto. Just leave a small part of your position open just in case you are to expand into unexplored territory. Yeah, I'm just trying to find reasons to be bearish on gold, just to see where I could be wrong on this bullish idea. I mean, you could of course map this, right? Let's put it red just for some bear drama, and be like, oh shit, this is the origin of the down move. Look, we're trading into it. It's gonna go down. And this is the reason why I'm calling for a pullback, right? But not the start of a downtrend or a significant correction into this area here. Which, don't get me wrong, if price came here, I'd buy a shit ton of gold, even physical. But I just don't think it will. So yeah, that's why it makes a lot of sense to sell some of your long position if you get in from here or even lower into this area, because it's clearly a supply zone, and a lot of people will start longing here, jumping into longs here, and you know, I just want to make my money and sleep peacefully. A lot of people, you know, will jump into longs here, and price will fuck with them, right? It will pull back, it will go up, go down even more. Who knows, right? But yeah, I just don't think that that's a good risk reward there. So this is gold, and this is the only trigger. I mean, I'm just betting on this being the low for the week maybe. Well, whether it's the low of the week, I don't know. Maybe we could see this on Monday or Tuesday happening. Then price trades here, and we see a significant correction into this level. Well, guess what? I'm a buyer here, and this is my first target, and this is the second one. Again, I'm just treating this as a sort of a range, but I do think that price will offer a reaction from here. I'd be very, very surprised if it doesn't, right? Because this is clearly resistance, resistance, and now it's been acting as support, and I think it will act as support. And my validation would be around here if I was too long around this level for a nice 2-hour trade, and fully out here, or at least 90% of my position, just in case, we do something like this and new all-time highs, whatever. But if price was to, as I said, if it was to break lower from here, this is another great value area. And even if it broke lower, which I don't think it will, this trend line here is support until proven otherwise. I'm a big trend line guy, and this is the reason why. Resistance, resistance, resistance. SR flip. Next time it comes there, it should be support again. But I don't think it would trade lower than the monthly open for a good reason. I'd rather think it might remain range bound around here than trading lower than the monthly open, because we are already halfway through June and price has spent the whole month trading above it. It would be really rare for gold, for the monthly candle, to change direction after, at the last part of the month. Because normally you get your expansion at the first half of the month. Then you might continue to expand, but at the end of the month, a lot of people say month-end factory. All that is some contraction, because I'd imagine that a lot of people just get out of their positions when the month ends and they rebalance whatever their portfolios are. So yeah, that's why. So that's gold covered. We played longs on these value areas, and let's move on to another ticker. Let's keep with the metals, right? Silver is an interesting one. I've been doing some TA recently on it. Let's jump onto the weekly, right? Silver has been really, really bullish. If we look at, let's jump into the monthly. It's closed on the monthly above this massive SR area, which has been untested for so long. Now we just broken above there. If we were to close the month above this level, the 35 to 36 region, there's no reason to say that this shouldn't be one target and this shouldn't be the second target, and then who knows what could happen with silver, right? But it does make sense to be bullish on it, especially the dollar being so weak. And let's now jump into the weekly, right? So yeah, so this SR area, which comes from, I don't know what fucking year this is, 2012. Okay, we're trading above there. And yeah, we've clearly broken above these levels. Now on the daily, you do not want to play shorts on silver unless it's, intraday or maximum 1 to 2 days at this point, right? We've just broken above resistance. And I don't think we should call this a deviation or failure or overthrow or whatever. I think it makes sense to just play this thinking that you buy the pullbacks, trading higher into 40 and then to the 50 area. So the question now is, how do we get in? Well, I'm pretty bullish on this. I do think that 40 is the next area for silver. But yeah, let's talk about how to get into this trade, right? So I've identified this box here, which was a supply zone. As you can see, SR, and it was the origin of this huge leg down. And last time we traded there, it was the breakout zone. So just like I've been saying with gold and oil, we've identified this value area where was priced to trade here, it would be an amazing opportunity to get long. And I've mapped out this price action from 2022 to 2024 because it seems to me like it's really similar, and I do think that we could be seeing something similar happening right now, right? Just like before, we have this massive um, supply zone, which causes huge leg down, resistance, and range, but move down, another attempt and a move down, and the fourth attempt, you get a huge impulse through, just like here. Yeah, it's really similar, really similar. So how would you have gotten into this long on silver? Well, you just buy a pullback into this breakout zone, into this value area, which was a supply zone before, now turn into demand zone, a SAR flip, right? And the thing with silver and oil, they are tricky little bastards, and they test your patience, but they tend to offer very good pullbacks. Just like here, probably a lot of people just jumped long here, right? And because they thought, oh my God, first time we're trading above this massive area in 2 years, it's gonna go higher from here. Well, it first goes down and then up, right? So patience is required here. And if you are going to get in, you do not want to just get in here, right? So I think you would much rather wait. And if you went long here, I think that's pretty good. But just like I'm betting on gold, pulling back a bit at the start of the week, I think the same could happen on silver. into this SAR zone and now demand zone. So the only trigger that I have really on silver is price trading into there and me just, you know, betting on expansion to the upside into the 40 area. This is what I think is going to happen. And this is what I am willing to play on silver for next week. I really hope we get this pullback, man. And I really hope that silver doesn't perform like shit, you know, because a lot of times we've been hoping that silver will perform better, but just because gold was really, really bullish and silver was not catching up to the performance of gold. But yeah, it really shouldn't trade into the 34 area, and this should hold. It was priced to trade here. So that's silver. Let's see what do we have next. I'm gonna jump on Euro USD. Well, let's let me get rid of some of this drawings here real quick. Yeah. Well. Yeah. Yeah. I might need to remove a lot more drawings. But yeah, let's keep it like this. So I do think Euro USD is in a key area as well. I mean, trading right now is really exciting. A lot of things are lining up. But thing with gold, with Euro USD, excuse me, is that this 116 area is the last resistance before, in my opinion, trading into nearly 120 area. So this is one of the charts I have on Euro USD, and let me show you my point. Oh, sorry. Right. Yeah. So you see why I think that this is a pivotal area. Just look how it was support. It turned into resistance pretty clean, and it should be acting as resistance right now. So Euro USD, I think if it trades bullish above 116, then it's you're playing just the expansion to 120. That's why I remain bullish, medium to long term Euro USD. But trading it right now, it's really tricky because it's up into resistance and it's been in an up only mode, except for this pullback here, but it hasn't been rangy really. It's been in an uptrend since February, and COT data is really one-sided when you look at the retail traders. I just want to get rid of something at the table. Yeah, that's it. Last week I was betting on Euro having a bad week, but it turned bullish. And it's just, I'm just amazed the fact that commercials have increased a bit the short exposure on USD and retails and non-commercials have increase the long exposure, but I just I just don't think, you know, betting on a breakthrough 116 right here is really, really smart, or that it offers a great risk to reward. Because you just look at this positioning, right? And last time we had that, look at what happened. Now, I don't think that's going to happen, but we do need to see, in my opinion, for a sustained move higher, a little bit of a rebalance in the positioning of the retail traders. That being said, using the COT data last week led me to being wrongly bullish, no, sorry, bearish on EURUSD. So same thing could happen, and the COT data might not reflect what, could not be good or reliable indicator. It's been in the past, but thing right now, thing is, last week we were, right around here, but this next week we're just up against a weekly resistance area. So if the past week I was bearish, this week I'm even more bearish. At least I'm cautious. I'll always remain open-minded, but we need. I think it makes sense to use this level as resistance until proven otherwise. So, yeah. I don't really know what's gonna happen. But man, I just think that it makes sense to be bearish on EURUSD for this week. I really do. And shorting up here does make a lot of sense, and you know, um, just like I was more confident on oil calling a breakout. I'm not that confident here. Especially because this week has been, pretty straightforward. Once we got moving, this SR area was pretty clear, and it just got flipped. I do think that this area is for playing shorts, and this area is for playing longs. And listen, this is the monthly open. Just like I mentioned, I think it was with gold. Once we are at the end or the second half through the month, and we are already we've already gone through the expansion, I don't think it makes sense to call for a reverse in direction of the weekly candle or the monthly candle, whatever. Time is fractal. So I just think, looking at gold as well, I was calling for range-bound price movement for the second half of the month. I think the same could happen with Euro USD, because you know when they line up with when gold and for FX they line up, um, they might be a good confluence factor. And just like I'm afraid to call a breakout and new all-time highs on gold, same thing happens with me here on EURUSD, and it really makes a lot more sense to me to think that we're going to get some sort of range-bound price action, and it's going to offer good opportunities for trading on both sides the next part of the month, rather than calling for a breakout and a movement to 120. But as always, it could happen. I mean, this is my target for next months. But just the COT data sort of scares me, man. But yeah, I don't think we trade this low. But if we were to trade into this area, man, I think this is really, really good value. This area here, we are looking at the H4, and this is at level significant resistance. It was resistance, but it turned into support. You see this beautiful test back. So price right now is in no man's land. Right here, there's nothing much to do, but I think, yeah, I'm just calling for range bound price action. I think it will move through these levels, and we'll see what happens. But I mean, price could bottom next week around here and trade up to this level, or if my preferred bet is price trading into this H4 level, which capped price for the best part of the week until we got this breakout. And this is probably the opening range of the week for last week, right? So this price around here is really important, and this whole area is probably an SR zone. That's why this line has more weight, because all of these touches and the fact that this was the opening range for the week, and that area tends to act as an SR zone. So yeah, I wish we got this, because I think it makes a great opportunity for playing longs. And it also makes sense for me to look for shorts here. And until, we see something like this and price holding and breaking through, and, then you wouldn't call this a deviation. You would assume that, it's trend continuation. So that's my analysis on USD. I'm just gonna do these drawings and leave them there for my own sake. Now let's do cable, pound USD, GBP USD, whatever. This one is not as bullish on USD, and I think that this news that they had on the unemployment, it was massive. We saw that here trading into the monthly open, but price reacting nicely from it, and it's sort of been more rangy than Euro USD. You will also notice, if you look into the COT data, that there's been more longs on pound than euro, so there's less margin for it to go up as a nice confluence factor. So if I was to play shorts on either euro USD or pound USD, I choose the pound. But yeah, thing with pound is we have this massive channel, which I drew all the way from this, right? And you know, I don't care if you are not into geometry as I am, but it fucking works, right? It fucking works. So what is price doing now? Well, it's rangy. And you know the whole thing with geometry is I think it attracts price into that level. So at one point I know that pound will trade into this zone here. But will it be next week? I don't know. I personally don't think so. Um, yeah, I'm leaning neutral, just like with euro, but I don't see it as clean on pound. I think that this. Let me draw a box here. This area here is great for shorts on pound, and you could catch some nice movements here. But honestly, I'm not too sure about what pound or how to play it. I mean, the monthly open long is always there, and I'll play it at least into this level. Probably trail my stop, and you know, price is going up on pound, but at the same time it's a bit rangy. So yeah, just look at this. Yeah, I'm not too sure about pound, man. Um, Probably so many stops around here, and price trading into here would make some people shit their pants, pretty sure. um, but this right here, this area right here would be great for longs on pound. And yeah, I'm not calling for a big swing on pound. Just like I said, price price trades into the monthly open, and you just sell into this SR zone. Um, and if it trades around here, you play the shorts, and I would play them into this level. Thing is, if I could, let me get rid of all the drawings. It's in a kind of channel, right? Just let me draw it with a channel. It's like there's like a, where is it? I think it's here, yeah. If price is moving in a channel, just play the fucking channel, you idiot, right? That's why I said, above this area you play the shorts, where into the mid. The daily level SR was around here. And if price comes into the monthly open, which is around here, the bottom of the channel, you play the longs where into the mid. And that's your range. So this is just range trading. And that's all I think about pound USD. Really. Yeah, that's about it. Plus, with this big channel here, I think it just makes a lot of sense be cautious above this level and not get too excited about breakouts. But I do think there's some good reasons to be bullish on euro and pound against the dollar in the next month. But just I'm just trying to be cautious right now, right, and not get too excited and calling for a breakout until the breakout happens. And you know, the only way I want to play longs is in this area right here. So sorry, yeah, it's like this. Let's cover some crypto. Yeah, let's jump into Ethereum. Ethereum. It traded higher into this SR zone, and yeah, it rejected pretty clearly back into the range, which is no bueno. This is no good. Um, this is exactly what we try to avoid when we are looking for breakouts. You don't want if a breakout is really going to happen, right? Let me change the color because this is bearish, man. Yeah, this is nice. Um, you want price to go high, maybe range a bit, and any retest should be bought and signal strength in the breakout. With Ethereum, right, we've had this sort of fake out, and now we've had this sort of deviation. And surprise, surprise, it traded below the range because it's really fucking bearish when this happens. So what price is going to do next, I don't know, but this part of the range remains right now a selling opportunity to the bottom of the range. This is what I think one could try to play. But if you ask me, what do you think is going to happen? Where do I buy Ethereum, right? Well, just like I mentioned on oil at the start of the analysis, you are pretty good on betting that inefficiencies will get filled. And this was such an inefficient move, right? And because this price action here is really bearish, and you are now back inside the range, unless you get another breakout and you see Ethereum trading here, right? If you know Ethereum trades into this level and then rejects, um, yeah, it might hold around here, pull into the bounce into the mid of the range, whatever. You know, God knows what will happen, but I think you're gonna get some sort of inefficient move down here, and I really don't know where it will happen, but my gut's telling me that, you know, somewhere around here. I don't think it will trade all the way to the origin of the movement, which is between 1,800, but maybe yes, around the 2,000 with weak. And you need to see absorption here when price trades here. So I wouldn't be too excited to play longs on this part of the range. because I think Ethereum is really bearish right now, and it should sort of try to do some price action like this at least. And if then reclaims, well, it was a deviation, and then you play into the other side of the range. But with this part of the price action being so inefficient, and you know Ethereum is fucking shitcoin, everyone knows that. I think there's a good chance we trade into the 2000 and 2200 area. So that is my plan on Ethereum, to sell a bounce into this level if it were to happen, and you play that into the low of the range. But this is quite a move, really. It might, look at this instance. It held at the mid. It didn't even reach the top part, and it just fell down. So yeah, something like this, maybe. I think it's going to happen.